Welcome to the AORTIC YouTube channel. You're watching the African Cancer Research Corner. I am Professor Folakemi Odedina, one of the scientists anchor for the channel. I also have the privilege of serving as one of the chairs of the AORTIC Research Committee. It is September, and for those of us in the cancer world, it is Prostate Cancer Awareness Month. Throughout this month, we will be highlighting Afrocentric scientific discoveries in the area of prostate cancer. Today, we have two African scientists who will be discussing their work and the work of their consortium in the area of prostate cancer in Africa. My very first guest, I'm really excited to have my very first guest, who is actually co-chair with me on the AORTIC Research Committee. So it is a pleasure to have Dr. Solomon Rotimi. Dr. Solomon Rotimi, welcome.
Thank you very much, Professor Odedina. I'm so excited to join you on this interview today.
Yeah, and it is really kind of a little bit weird because you are going to be doing some of the interviews, but then I'm interviewing you today, right? So right. It's going to be awesome. But you are here today. I know you are a critical part of AORTIC, but you are here today representing one of the consortia that does a lot of work in Africa. So before we get to that, first of all, can you introduce yourself to our audience?
Right, my name is Solomon Rotimi, and I'm an associate professor at Covenant University in Nigeria. I'm also the director of translational research of Prostate Cancer Transatlantic Consortium, which you may hear henceforth when you hear me talk about CaPTC. That is what I'm talking about. Okay, we like to make it simple and short, very precise to get. So I am the director of translational research of CaPTC, and my research interest is on the prostate cancer genomics. I'm interested in understanding the genomic factors that drive prostate cancer, particularly in Black men. And again, I also have the privilege to co-share the AORTIC Research Committee with you. And it's been an exciting thing, and I look forward in this interview to share a few things that CaPTC is doing and what we hope to do and our vision for prostate cancer research and training in Africa. Thank you very much.
Okay, awesome, awesome. So let's start with the CaPTC Consortium. Can you tell us more about CaPTC Consortium? Just give us a little bit of brief history. Especially focusing on Africa. What, where do you have CaPTC located in Africa? Just some of the sites that you have and how long CaPTC has been in Africa.
Right, CaPTC was actually founded in 2005. So if you count it back now, that's about 15 years, right? So it's not baby, 15-year-old is planning to get to the university, planning to get to college. Okay, so we have CaPTC set up primarily to address the burden of prostate cancer in Black men. Okay, one of the things you look out for in prostate cancer that stands out, if you're looking at the risk of developing the disease or dying from prostate cancer, is being Black. And so CaPTC was set up, to address that global burden that is on the Black men. And so CaPTC has its membership across West Africa and in the United States of America. And you can see where the name came out from, transatlantic. So a common trend that connects the west coast of Africa and the United States is the transatlantic slave trade, which started about 400 years ago, sort of. And so CaPTC is set up to sort of ride on that connection, to put the scientists on both sides of the Atlantic together to address a common problem that faces both of them, if I may put it that way. And so in West Africa, we have CaPTC all across. We have CaPTC in Ghana, we have CaPTC in Cameroon, and we have CaPTC in several institutions in Nigeria, going up to 20. And you may ask yourself, particularly those who are outside Africa who will be watching this, why do you have up to 20 in Nigeria? The thing is that Nigeria is a big country. You're talking of population of almost 200 million people, okay? And a lot of scientific findings coming out shows that Nigeria constituted significantly to the transatlantic slave trade. So if you look at your history and you're looking at the port where the slave, were sort of carted away from Africa, you're talking of what they call the Bath of Benin, the Bath of Biafra, and the port, of Badagry. These are all what you call the present day Nigeria. Okay, so Nigeria contributed significantly to that ugly event. Okay, the people of the United States who are Black, African American, a lot of them have Nigeria or West African ancestry, and that's why this consortium is very important in addressing that body.
Thank you. I think you've covered it a little bit, but what do you think is important to really focus? It's important for CaPTC to focus on Africa. You've sort of addressed it in the way of tracing the history, back to, especially West Africa. Are there any other reasons that you can think of why do we need to focus in Africa, focus that science in Africa?
Yeah, another reason is that if you look at the body of knowledge that has been generated in cancer, Africa has contributed little to nothing to it. And if you want to solve a problem, you go to the root of that problem. You go straight to the root of that problem, train people there, improve their capacity, and knowing that as soon as you're solving the problem at the root, the fruit will be, we turn out to be good. They say make a tree good and the fruit will be good. And how best to make a tree good rather than to go down to the root and address it from that point, okay? And to also give African investigators a sense of belonging, that the scientists coming from outside Africa are not just interested in their biospecimen, but they are also interested in building their capacity for them to also, and I want to change the pronoun there, for us to take ownership, because I am resident in Africa, I am an African, I live right here and I do my research here. So what CaPTC has done is to empower us to take leadership, not just ownership, but leadership in driving the science.
Very well said. And that's really, truly the key. I mean, when you think about how the only way to really make progress in Africa is if it's done by investigators like you, right? So within the past 10 years, what are some of the key findings that have come out of your consortium?
Oh, outstanding. And so if you look at everybody talking about, racial disparity of prostate cancer now, one of and they talk about the biology of it, right? Let me start from that perspective, is that they talk about the drivers of this disparity and they now zero in on inflammation. One of our investigators, who is, Professor Rennie Reams, who is the director of our training and research, our research laid foundation was the earliest work that really showed that inflammatory, differences contribute to prostate cancer disparity. That's one aspect. Another aspect, research that has come out of our consortium is to show that beyond is to clearly, sort of signpost the role of testosterone in driving prostate cancer disparity. Let me just make it clear that when we study prostate cancer, we always want to study it within the purview of disparity and compare it with, the Caucasian. Because if you could downstage it to that level, you sort of take the aggressiveness away. It kind of makes it easier to manage, right? So that is one aspect. Another aspect of research that we're so excited about now is the familiar cohort that we're building. And let me sort of give you an idea of what this is about. Okay, remember in my introduction, I talked about this, common thread that connects us. So the question then becomes, what are the differences right now between men in Africa, West Africa precisely, and African immigrants in the United States and African Americans? Over this period of 400 years, do we now have, for example, social determinants of health that are now different, okay? Because if we say the biology is the same, if the outcome is different, can we now begin to look at differences in social determinants of health that turn out to impact the biology? And for example, if you look at stress as a social determinant, the question is stress a social factor or a biological factor? Okay. If you look at it in a way, because, oh, stress is a social thing, people are not happy, this person was laid out of his job, and all of those things. But what happens is that that physical thing or social thing impacts on your biological system through stress hormones that is released. So we're studying now what are the effects of that socio-biological factors, because it's now very difficult. You know, we talk about determinants of health, and then we talk about social determinants, biological determinants. The question one of the questions we are answering now is that where is the difference? Are you able to really distinguish between what is social and what is biological? And so we've built this, cohort, which we call a familiar cohort, in that we recruited men in West Africa, men in the United States, with men in Nigeria, in Africa, have relative, close relative, sons, uncle, immediate close relative. I know that in Africa, everybody's your brother, right? Everybody is uncle or daddy, but we're only interested, not your African family, in your immediate biological nuclear family, okay? And then we've recruited the search in the United States, and we're following them up longitudinally. Okay, we started this about 3 years ago. We have the biological specimen. We have the consent. They are all consented, recruited into the project, and we're excited about it. And so maybe I've not answered that question directly, how familiar cohort has contributed to science, but I have by saying we've identified that cortisol is a driver of prostate cancer disparity. Okay, what's the puzzle out there that I want those who are listening to me to answer? Is it a biological determinant or sociology or social determinant? I leave that to everybody to answer.
And that is very important, when you talk about that, because, one of the reasons, as you describe how the study is being done, is the idea that it's not a matter of nature or nurture, right? Or it's not a matter of biology or the environment. But we have to study both of them to be able to understand, because the problem of addressing prostate cancer disparities, we really need to address them, the problems on all sides. Not one is better than the other. We need to be able to work on this, right? Yeah, very well said. So what do you see as the greatest impact of your consortium to the science of prostate cancer disparities in Africa?
Right, and I think I just take it off from you, which is our approach is what makes it very impactful, in that we're not addressing the biology alone, we're also addressing the social aspect. We're addressing the nature and the nurture, and we're putting it all together. We realize now that science cannot be done in isolation, okay? And we're taking it beyond that and bringing it now out the aspect of implementation science, right? So we're taking it from the lab through the society to the bench, to the backyard, and giving it an holistic approach, right? Because gone are the days where we do science, we do what I call dissociated science. The arm is there, the leg is there, this one is there, and the whole is just right there. Nothing to really, no string to pull all of it together. So that is the approach we're giving to it. And then if I talk on my area, which is the biology aspect, what we're doing is that, so if you look at the genomics, the approach to which genomics is done is to take a few what we call variants. Okay, what we are doing is that we are doing whole genome sequencing. Right now, if you look at GWAS that has been done in Africa on prostate cancer, there are about 3 or 4 of those. And then one study recently came out doing whole genome sequencing. We are going in depth, and we're doing whole genome sequencing. We're doing whole genome transcriptomics. We're doing multi-omics. Okay, that we will be able to answer in depth, the question of, the question of what drives prostate cancer in Black men from the biology perspective. We're going in depth. And then as we transit to the social or the environmental aspect of it, we're also studying what are the things in the physiological environment, testosterone, vitamin D, lifestyle. How do those impact on those genomic factors? Okay, and then we take it further. The kind of diet that you eat, what you do, we're collecting data on all of those things. We're layering that on it, okay? And then we're training people on how to do implementation science. We're improving capacity in clinical trials, okay? So you could see that the old prong of what it takes to answer or to solve the problem of disparity or burden of prostate cancer in Black men, we're going full up. Okay, that is the direction that we are going.
Absolutely. I mean, I know about this consortium, but I'm getting much more excited as I'm listening to you describing it. This is really a great way, and I think it's great because for our viewers, they need to get the idea. A lot of people are still practicing or doing research in silo. And being able to say, oh, okay, I'm the biological scientist. Okay, I'm the behavioral scientist. Okay, I'm the clinical scientist. I'm going to divert a little bit before I come back to you talking more about your consortium. Can you talk to us a little bit more? And I think it's very important to ask you because you are you come from the genomic aspects of it from being the biological scientist. Can you describe why is it so important to have this team science that is looking at the problem of prostate cancer at different levels? How accepting were you? Because I actually think it's people who are basic scientists that are a little bit more reluctant. But how has it been for you? Were you reluctant at first when you had to most probably team up with behavioral and clinical scientists? Were you not? If you were not, why not? And how has it been for you working in this realm that you are surrounded by people from a whole lot of discipline?
Yeah. And I think, I think as basic scientists, and every basic scientist listening to me or watching this, should take his or her mind back to the basic that we're taught when we're taught about genetics. We're taught that phenotype, outcome that you see, is a function of what we're taught G by E, the gene and the environment. So it's never the gene alone, right? Because what we want is the good phenotype. We want a healthy human being. We want a disease that is not aggressive, that can be easily managed. That is the phenotype. And what brings about that phenotype? Yes, by our training, we want to give it the biological understanding. But the biology alone cannot address that. So I had that understanding. And of course, by my training, I wasn't trained to interact with social scientists. But when I started interacting, I realized that it makes it better, right? It brings another dimension to it, okay? Because what we want to do is that we want to solve a problem, okay? There's a saying in Yoruba language, because this is an African program, so let's put some proverb into it anyway, that if a man sees the snake and the woman kills it, it doesn't really matter to distinguish between who saw it and who killed it. As long as the snake
is dead.
As long as the snake is killed, okay? But if we're in the room and here comes a snake and the man says, that is the snake. And the man says, woman, don't kill it because I saw it, okay? Who knows what will happen? And so we need to embrace, team science. We need to embrace multidisciplinary science. We need to break away the silo. We need to look at the problem confronting all of us. We need to look at how best can we bring multiple approach into solving it. At the end of the day, what is important is the problem that is solved. Really, who solves it is not as important as the problem, the solution. It doesn't matter. It's about solving that problem. And that is my perspective that I have. There's a perspective that I have. And that is a perspective that I think science in Africa should have for us to come together, to solve a problem. And think about it. If you look at broom, there is this African proverb again that it's easy to break one strand of broom. But if you pull different strands together, it's very difficult to break, and then they can be put to effective use of sweeping the room. But if you just stand alone and you have a dirty room and you want to sweep it, you're going to have a lot of work at hand. But when you come together with people of like mind, again, I might that one like mind, those who are ready to work, it makes the science very easy to do.
Very well said. Very well said. Exciting stuff going on here. Okay, so what are some of your consortium current research activities in Africa?
Right. So and I've talked about that. One of our research activities that we're building this prostate cancer familiar cohort. Okay, so that is ongoing, and we're using that database to answer a lot of research questions. Okay, a lot of investigators. You remember I said we have over 20 sites across West Africa. Each site has maybe over 5 investigators. Multiply that by 5, we are over 100 members. I'm sure we are even more than 200. Okay, so investigators are free to raise research questions deep into the bank. Okay, and then they are able to pull out data, what I call the data bank, and then they are able to pull out data and answer their research questions, and the publications are coming out. Another one that the area that I've also talked about is in the genomics aspect. Okay, and we're answering deep questions. Okay, we're excited. The publications of that are going to come out very shortly, and it's no brainer. Okay, all genome sequencing have not been done thoroughly in Africa, and then we are doing that. Another question that we are going to answer is that are there intra-African differences? Okay, and we know that from the evolutionary tree, Africa is divergent. From the phenotype that we have, we know we are divergent. The question is, does that diversity impact on the biology or the phenotype of prostate cancer that we see? Okay, we know we have different tribes. We know we have different ethnicity. We are pulling data on that. Okay, again, we are also doing a lot of research on social determinant, behavioral aspect of prostate cancer, and papers are coming out. We're also doing research, and this is exciting, on implementation science. We're not just leaving it at the table. We're not just publishing and dropping it there. We're now into research on how best we can translate our findings to influence policies, to influence clinical practices, right? And we're working not just among ourselves, we are interfacing with NGOs, we are interfacing with government agencies, because again, one tree cannot make up a forest.
Absolutely.
Okay? And life is in the intersection of two realms. So that's the approach we are giving to it. And the great research coming out, great investigators engaging right here in Africa, not out there. One thing that we are careful of is that we are not doing helicopter science. We're not doing vampire research. We're not taking sample, jumping out of Africa and not recognizing the African investigators. In fact, the African investigator, we play a role. We sit at the table and determine the direction of the science. It is our problem. We tell you what the problem is and what questions we like to be answered.
Wow. Now you understand why Dr. Rotimi is the AORTIC research committee co-chair. You can hear it from him. He's really a passionate advocate for making sure that the science stays in Africa. So you heard it from him. No more taking samples out of Africa, and no more vampire science, and no more helicopter science. He has spoken. So I know that you may not want to talk about this in detail, but I know that there are 2 main projects that are coming to the CaPTC consortium. So very briefly, can you talk about these projects? I think they are going to launch this month.
Right. So there are 2 projects that we're doing that are coming up, in CaPTC in Africa that we're so much excited about. One has to do with, so if you look at the number of clinical trials that are done globally, Africa, with all our populations, as diverse as we are, with all the cancer burden and all of that, Africa has contributed less than 5% to clinical trials that are done in Africa. So what we're doing now is that we have a project that we call Iron Man, which is an international registry to improve outcomes in men with advanced prostate cancer, which is to recruit up to 5,000 men who are undergoing prostate cancer treatment, and we follow them up. And it doesn't matter the treatment. So it's kind of a multi-dimensional clinical trial. Okay, we're launching that this month. Another one that we are launching, and that one is funded by a lot of organizations, including Movember Foundation, okay? And is it not exciting that CaPTC is bringing Movember into Africa? So think about that. If you're in prostate cancer world, anywhere, I mean, if you're into prostate cancer, anywhere in the world, you talk about Movember, okay? And now we're bringing Movember into Africa right now. And so think about that. We're excited about that, and we're grateful to them for the support that we have received from them. Another aspect of it is another research that we're starting in Africa is the CaPTC, which stands for Clinical Proteomic Tumor Analysis Consortium. CaPTC has joined the NCI CaPTC. So if you know TCGA, that is a child's play to CaPTC. What CaPTC does, what TCGA did is genomic analysis. CaPTC is doing proteogenomic analysis. We know that, yes, the genomic is important, the RNA is important, but much more important are the proteins that actually carry out the biological activity. So CaPTC is analyzing all of these, and CaPTC is now part of CaPTC. Again, because the government thing, I can't talk so much about it, but watch out for it. As soon as we launch it, you will hear about it. And as soon as all the governmental T's are crossed and I's are dotted, you will know about it. But you could check it up, CaPTC. You will be excited at the data that CaPTC is coming out of. And CaPTC is now part of that project.
Yeah, congratulations. I know that you are the African PI for that. Great work on your end. Great work.
Yes, thank you.
So going back from the research, there's no way research cannot be done without having the appropriate biomedical research workforce, right? So increasing the biomedical research workforce is very, very critical for Africa. What are some of the achievements of the CaPTC in this area? Right,
yeah. So let me take it off from where I left off on the vampire side. So one of the things that we have found out is that lack of capacity, what I can call even partly ignorance, contribute to vampire science. Where you don't know your right, you stand the risk of being taken advantage of. And so CaPTC has invested heavily in training by workforce generally, research workforce, okay, and not just biomedical, because I belong to the biomedical, including those who are in behavioral aspect, including those who are in the social aspect. CaPTC has invested heavily, has supported heavily training in all aspects. And as I'm talking to you as one of the beneficiaries of that training, I've been trained by CaPTC from knowing little to nothing, okay, now to where I am today, been supported, CaPTC aggressively, pursue training grants. I've been supported by Fulbright. CaPTC has received multiple funding from NCI Center for Global Health to train investigators in pathology, to train pathologists, okay. CaPTC identified training in pathology practice in Africa and has moved aggressively to improve the standard, to improve the SOP, to train the manpower, and this is ongoing. And one of the things that CaPTC also does is to incorporate training into every one of our grants that we apply for. And so, for example, this grant that I mentioned just a few minutes ago, we have training aspect of them. Another aspect that CaPTC has supported training, improving capacity is in the behavioral aspect. CaPTC now has what we call the ABA Center, which is African Behavioral Research Center, okay, which is chaired by my colleague, Dr. Catherine Oladoyinbo in Federal University of Culture, Abeokuta, and is training investigators across Africa. And recently, they're now training investigators in implementation science. So think about that. They've moved from just ordinary behavioral research, now gone into implementation science. Okay, So so CaPTC has done that, and CaPTC continues to do all of this training. In fact, I think, and I'm right, CaPTC seems to be more interested in training. A lot of work has gone into training, rather even more than research, because the reason for that is when you train investigators, they are able to come up with research questions. They are able to do their own research, right? So they are not just sample collectors. Right. They are not just citizen scientists. They are trained and equipped investigators. And so that is what CaPTC has done and continues to do in investing in developing capacity.
Yeah. I know we're talking about, the consortium, and I know you're being humble, but you just got an award, a training grant from the NCI Center for Global Health as well, along with Dr. John Captain, to train people in the area of genomics. Do you want to share a little bit more about that award?
Oh, sure. Thank you. Yeah. So what I've done, I'm trying to do actually is to let people see the role that we in Africa are playing. But let me also recognize that we are heavily supported by a lot of our collaborators in the United States. You that, as you are interviewing me, let us also just say that you are the PI of CaPTC and you have trained a lot of us. Dr. John Captain at the University of Southern California, who is my mentor in genomics, he's trained me, trained a couple of persons, flown across the Atlantic here to conduct a lot of training. Dr. Clayton Yates, who is the co-PI of CaPTC, is at Tuskegee University, and part of the research that I've said we are doing, that we're studying the effect of vitamin D and all of those on genomics, is supported by a DoD grant awarded to him and Dr. Stefan Harms at NCI, and which myself and my colleague at ABU, Dr. Farouk Mohammed, we are collaborating with them on. And so we have all of these collaborators with which we are applying, we apply, and we've gotten a lot of grants, and one of which you talked about is the training grant from the NCI Center for Global Health. And what we're doing is that we're going to be using that fund to train early career investigators, early career researchers, we're training postgraduate students, we're training resident doctors, sort of exposing them to what genomics is, okay? A lot of them are kind of see it as a big term. And the training now we will be doing here, it's at Covenant University in Nigeria. We'll also be supporting them to international conferences from from funding that we receive from National Cancer Institute, Center for Global Health. So we're supporting them to present their work at international conferences, giving them the necessary exposure, okay, signposting them to the world and see what we have in Africa, also giving them opportunity to collaborate with people from all over the world, thereby strengthening their own network, okay, and giving them the boost and the confidence, to engage on international platform.
Awesome. Seems like a lot going on with this, with your consortium, and it's really very. I'm honored to be, to be the founder, and it is really great to see people like you taking leadership, because this is what it is about. This is all, great science that will come out of Africa really needs to be led by Africans. And I am so pleased to see people like you and others take, just taking the lead and running with it. That's what we need. So is there, in closing, we're wrapping up, and this has been a lovely conversation. Is there anything else you would like to share about your consortium?
Yeah, sure. Just to say that our consortium is open to people. You could go to our website. Again, we are supported by NCI, Division for Epidemiology and Genomic Research. So just go to, and I'm sure the editors of this will probably put it somewhere, epi.grants.cancer.gov/CaPTC, CaPTC. You see all about us there. And we are welcome. You are welcome to join us if you are interested. There's a link there to say view our research publication, join CaPTC. You see the email to contact there. We're supported by very hardworking research administrative staff, Miss Ruth Agaba, Miss Sheyi, and Parisa, Fati, pardon me if I didn't pronounce the name very well, but just go right there to our website. You see all our investigators in Nigeria. Google CaPTC, Google about us. We'd like to hear from you, and we'd like you to support what we do in any way, and we will be glad to engage you in case you have any inquiry about what we do.
Thank you. That is great. I'm going to ask a couple of more questions before I let you go. So that was your last question on the consortium. So obviously you are an AORTIC member, because that's why you are the co-chair on the AORTIC Research Committee. Can you talk a little bit about, for you personally, what has been the benefits of being a member of AORTIC?
Great. Yeah, I think the one thing that AORTIC brings is that networking. Okay, you can't do it in silo. As Africans, we need to come together. So it's one thing to interact with people out there. It's one thing to interact with people in Europe, in America, in Asia, in Australia. But it's more important for us to integrate. African integration is very, very important. There's a lot that we can do within. Okay, I mean, look at what I've talked about, the role that African investigators, the leadership role we're playing in CaPTC. Okay, we need to disseminate that across Africa. Okay, we are not the only ones doing great work. A lot of great work, a lot of people are studying research coming out of Africa. We need to disseminate that. We also need to create a platform for ourselves. Okay, enough of us depending on things coming out there. AORTIC is a platform to showcase your research. AORTIC gives you the opportunity and the platform. So let the world know what you're doing. Also, AORTIC gives us that common voice, okay, to drive the change that we are interested in. Okay, enough of us going one by one, two by two, and all of that. We should come together. In the United States, there is the AACR, which is a big voice. We need to make AORTIC as big as that in terms of voice. So that's one, I mean, a lot of things that AORTIC does, but that platform to bring all the professionals together, right? So to bring not just the nationalities together, but to also bring all the professionals together. That is what AORTIC does.
Yes. Yes, you heard it from him. So if you're not a member of AORTIC, you should join. We'll provide you more information about AORTIC shortly. So I did say a couple of questions, so I have one more question. So this is like a test from your co-chair. So you know the vision. Of our research committee. The vision of our research committee is to provide scientific direction for cancer research in Africa. And we are really a very hard-working team. There's a lot going on within the research committee. We have several work groups, and there's a lot of activities that's going on. So I'm going to put you in the hot seat. What one activity that is going on in the research committee excites you the most? Oh,
it's the ancillary meetings that we're planning.
Okay.
What people know AORTIC for, what we all know AORTIC for so far is that AORTIC organizes annual meeting, biannual meeting, right? And then maybe the pilot meeting. But what we are coming up with now is that we are revitalizing the special interest groups, okay? And we're giving them opportunity to have their own specialized conferences, okay? We tailor it after the pattern of AACR, okay? So we're allowing those who are interested in, for example, implementation science. You want to have your conference, AORTIC is going to support that. The pathologists, they want to have a conference or a workshop where they want to discuss, the pathologists want to feel like they should talk about improvement, ways to improve pathology practice, or new research findings that could impact their profession. They could come together now and have that meeting. Okay, folks who are interested in genomics can come together and have that ancillary meeting. Right. And so that is exciting. That we're rolling that one out shortly. That's coming out. At least I can tell you those ones that is coming out. That is one thing. that we're doing that I'm so much excited about.
Yeah, so you answered it right. You were that meeting is going to be a lot of work groups are going to be part of it. So you got the question correct. You were right. Absolutely.
Thank you.
So this has just been an absolute dialogue, a great dialogue with you, and the baton is being passed to you because you're going to be running majority of these interviews. We want the interviewers and the interviewees to come from Africa. So you're going to be one of the anchors who's going to be running the interview. So thank you for sitting with me today and talking about the CaPTC. So as we wrap this up, we are going to go into our next segment, and we are going to have another prostate cancer consortium that will be describing their work in Africa, and that is the MADCAP Consortium. So, until the next segment, thank you, everyone.